What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Lynette. Y'all, as y'all can tell from the title, today I'm back with another video. Today's video is a little bit different. I have made a lot of sit-down videos, but none quite like this. So yeah, y'all, I apologize if it's windy and the audio is kind of bad, but just bear with me. If y'all don't know me, my name is Aaliyah. I am 23 years old, and yeah, I make YouTube videos and content in my free time. Occasionally, I do like to post sit-down videos talking about life, my spiritual journey, my walk with, God, and I just share my journey about getting closer to God, self, of course, and, just sharing that with others, advice, tips that I've learned from my personal journey and experience. Yeah, just all the lessons you could say I've learned in my 23 years of life. I've said this in a lot of my other videos, but it's never too late to get right with God, and I mean that in a sense of you're never going to have to get or be at a perfect place to know the Creator, to know the one who created you and put you here. I'm not here to come off as a know-it-all or like I know everything, because I promise y'all I don't. I can only speak from experience. But yeah, this is not a video to force or put off my spiritual beliefs or like convert people, because that's not me. That's not my style. I just simply share the journey, and if you just so happen to relate to it, then great, amazing. That's all the better. Yeah, my only hope is to really just give y'all some food for thought to think on, ponder, and, reflect upon. Some people think that there's all these rules, stipulations, and restrictions with knowing and getting closer to God or just having a relationship, and that is not the case at all. God wants you. One thing I've realized is that God wants you for exactly where you are. What you've been through. You don't have to be perfect. He will accept you and work with you right where you are. You don't have to have everything together to know him or be perfect or think you have to be, just the perfect human, because none of us are perfect. We're human, for one. So that already makes us imperfect. But yeah, he wants you for where you are now, where you've been, flaws and all. Did y'all know that though? Like, did y'all know that God wants you exactly where you are, flaws and all? And I can personally attest to that from experience, of course. God has seen me as some of my lowest, weakest, broken versions of myself. The versions that weren't the best, that were naive, that were stubborn. The versions of myself, I would say, even from a couple years ago. And even seasons and periods of my life where I drew away from him, and, that bond and that connection that I thought I had, I came to realize that it wasn't that strong and that I could really be doing more. I have my notebook, my journal here with notes for reference, y'all. So if I keep looking down, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm pinpointing and getting everything across, because it's a lot of information, but I'm gonna try to make this video as open as possible. But yeah, there was a point in time where I had completely drew away from God, and I didn't feel his presence. I felt like I didn't know him. I felt like the relationship that I claimed that I had, or I thought I had, wasn't as strong as it could have been. It's because my eyes weren't set on him, and my heart wasn't in the right place when it came to how I wanted or thought I should go about having a relationship with him. But yeah, and I was really then just naive to the fact that, I was chasing the fast life or temporary things, relationships, and just putting other people and things before myself and before my relationship with my Creator God. And that is a big no-no. And looking back at it now, I'm grateful that I had those periods and moments, because I've gotten to a better, more healthy, secure place with myself and with my relationship with the Most High. But yeah, I was chasing after all of these relationships, even friendships, and my eyes just weren't set and focused on God, and it just started making everything worse. I realized at a certain point, the true key to life and happiness is God, you guys. And I'm not saying that just to be like, it's like, yeah, everybody believes in God, but like, just because you believe in God, believing in God and having a relationship with him, a personal relationship, are two completely different things. Because you can believe in God and not have a relationship, and so they're two different things. There's a differentiation between the both. But yeah, looking back, as I hit rock bottom at a certain point after I had, went through, toxic relationships and ended friendships that just were no longer serving me, I realized that I was making life harder on myself than it had to be. And the only true thing that I had to really do was show up every day and really just prioritize God and, incorporate him more and put him first. And I found myself in a season of complete isolation where I was stripped away from, you could say my old life, a lot of the old people that I used to hang out with, friendships, relationships, even family members. Like, I was really stripped of all of that. And for the longest, I was mad at God because I felt like he was punishing me for not, prioritizing him and putting him first. When in reality, he was taking me away from those things to get me alone with him, to know him, to prioritize him, to start that new foundation with building a authentic and true relationship with him, and not just saying it or just doing it on my terms or what I think it's supposed to look like and be like. But yeah, these tribulations and just failed relationships, you could say, that I found myself in entertaining and occupying were really unfulfilling. They were not. I got to a point to where I was just so unfulfilled internally. And I don't want to even say it was the people around me. I wanted to blame the people around me, but it's I had to really step back and look in the mirror and realize okay, this is me, this is my life, this is my experience I'm experiencing here, and it doesn't make sense right now. And I don't like the way that this feels. So it's I had to make that personal decision to kind of transition from where I was in that toxicity, in the unfulfillment, in those relationships and, friendships and connections that just were not serving me. But yeah, like I said, I was mad at God for the longest because I felt like those situations just left me cold-hearted, closed off, and just with a really hardened heart towards the people around me and also towards God in a sense. And that was never my intention. That's just, how I felt. I'm human. We feel emotions. Sometimes we're happy. And then sometimes, the reality of it, sometimes we're not always going to be satisfied with what we're experiencing and what's happening around us, So yeah, it was no fun. That version of me from, you could even say 2 or 3 years ago, that young version of me was a product. It was a product of what I allowed. Yeah, it was just, I allowed it. I let the experiences and just everything that I was going through at that point in my life to kind of change me for the worse, you could say. Let me put it like that. And I did not like that version of myself that I was becoming. It felt it just didn't feel like me. I felt like that my light had been taken from me. That fun, go-lucky, funny version of Aaliyah it was gone. And I hated it because I'm I should never ever, and this is a thing to just say as well, don't ever allow what you experience in life, whether it be the worst of the worst, traumatic experience, or whatever the case may be, don't ever allow what you experience in life to harden you and to shape you or change you for the worse. Don't ever do that, ever. I felt like that my childlike version of myself, you could say, had just been dimmed, and I had been completely disconnected from it. And by me feeling like I was disconnected, that led to me going into a really deep depression, and it was no fun. I was depressed, and then by me being depressed and all that, it just led to, it was like a domino effect. It led to me just acting out in ways that weren't serving me, that were only harming me more than doing good, especially spiritually. It's one thing we could think we do things on a physical point of view and perspective, but everything we do in the physical, in this realm, in this experience, always has an impact on you spiritually, whether it's in a positive or negative way. And everything that I was doing physically, indulging in things, addictions, picked up smoking habits, and, being very promiscuous sexually, sharing myself and my body with people who just didn't deserve it. It just was an effect of what I allowed myself to become by feeling hurt from what the people around me did, and that's only hurt me more. And, I look around and I see the people who did hurt me or, did me wrong, they don't seem affected. And I'm like, dang, why do I seem like I'm being more affected than the people that hurt me? Like, that don't make sense, but at the same time, there's a purpose and a reason behind everything, every season. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I stayed in that void. I stayed in that depression for a while. And was it by choice? At one point in the beginning, it wasn't by choice. I actually felt depressed and like I could not help myself, and that nothing and no one could help me, not even God. And now looking at it, by me staying in that and sitting in that, it helped me to learn how to regulate my emotions. It helped me to learn how to cope with my feelings and my emotions, because growing up, I never really was taught how to do that. I wasn't taught how to communicate healthy and, express my feelings and my emotions in a healthy and positive way. So it made it a little bit harder for me. But yeah, I was so low in that depression. I couldn't even feel God's presence. I felt like he just wasn't. I just felt like he was a concept versus a real personal being, So it was a low point for me, for sure. And it's like in that low point, I had all these feelings resurface from my childhood, abandonment and, rejection, just feeling like I wasn't worthy enough of even being able to experience God and know him, and just feeling very alone. Felt like nobody around me could get me and understand me. If you've faced and battled with depression, then you know that feeling. It's a universal feeling. It's a feeling we all experience, even when we don't want to. But yeah, being in that void, in that space, it allowed me to realize how much I had let people, places, things, and distractions come in between me and, God, me and my creator. And that was a very, very sad point to get to and, experience. But like I said, looking back at it now, every season serves its purpose. And without that season, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So it all comes full circle if you allow it to. But yes, God did not abandon me. You guys, God did not abandon me. And that's what I came to realize. I was not being neglected. I was not being abandoned. I was not being left behind. He was actually there the whole time. And even the really dark moments. And I'm like, I bet you're like, how'd you know he was there? I'll tell you how he was there. It was just small confirmations, like how he would even come to me. Like, one thing about it, God will get to you one way or another. He'll show up through people, through places, environments, signs. And he was just still showing up for me in little ways and big ways to let me know that I wasn't alone and that he was there. And even if I didn't hear him speaking, or I felt like I didn't feel his presence, he was still there. And it's like, as soon as I had that realization, or I came to that realization, it's like that's when he just like pulled me up and out of that depression and that void and that low space that I was in at that time. Yeah, it's truly like he came and pulled the veil off of my eyes. Like, I was just so clouded by anger and, all these negative feelings and emotions that I couldn't see what was right in front of me the whole time, which was God. He was there the whole time, never left me. It was really me. It was me. I was the one that was creating that distance and that space between the both of us. And for a while, it felt like I couldn't make sense of why I was going through and experiencing what I was experiencing. I was beating myself up for the longest because I was just like, how could I let myself get to this point? It was like I was making myself the victim and putting the blame on the people around me, which you can't do that. I know it's so easy to put the blame on other people, but we can't blame people for everything, even the things we should be blaming people for. It's like we got to look in the mirror and learn how to heal, forgive, and let it go. And that's exactly what that season of isolation, that period in time in my life, brought me to. But yeah, after asking myself all those questions, God finally had sat me down. He gave me something I wasn't expecting, and I will never forget this day, you guys. Like, you could go through the worst of the worst traumatic experiences and negative situations, toxic experiences, and all of that can feel like it never even mattered when you get to experience the presence of God, like the true, real presence of God, source. He didn't even say anything to me. It was his love. Like I was sitting, and it's like a wave, like a surge of energy just overcame me, and it was the presence of God, you guys. And I cannot sit here and explain in detail. It's something you have to personally experience, and when you experience it, you will know. It's not a favoritism thing. It's just when you open up yourself and really allow him in. I feel like sometimes we can block ourselves off to experience the true love of God and his presence by the things that we've been through, the anger, the hurt. All these negative things really do disconnect us and keep us away from God. And it's like in that moment, nothing else mattered. It was just me and him, his presence, his love, and it was just filling me up and surrounding me. I was just crying uncontrollably because I could not believe what I was experiencing in real time. I had never experienced anything like that before in my life. And the best way I can describe it is just like peace, a wave and surge of peace. And I just started crying, not because I was sad anymore, because I was depressed, but just because my heart and my soul, my spirit was just so overwhelmed with that feeling that he gave me in that moment. And it's like time itself stopped in that moment, and it was just me and God, and it was the best feeling ever. It's something that I definitely needed, and it's like I was closing myself off from experiencing that love simply because of the anger and all of the negative emotions I had built up within myself. So yeah, after I stopped crying and I got myself together, God basically let me know what I went through was not to punish me or because he didn't love me, but because he saw things that I didn't. And I was just like, he just brought in that whole perspective that just had me like jaw dropped. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, and through him seeing the things that I couldn't see, God always sees the bigger picture of things around us. The people, the places, the situations, he sees everything that we don't. So when he intervenes and it feels like things are crumbling before you, it could really just be falling into place and him moving you around to be back in alignment with him. And that's exactly what he did. And by bringing me to that point, it opened me up and allowed me to have no choice but to seek him. And that's not even in a bad way, because sometimes we got to get to those points to realize what's right in front of us. Sometimes God needs our attention, so wherever that attention is, he'll do what he has to do to bring it back to him, because that's where it belongs. And that's not in a selfish or manipulative way, but it's in a sense of, y'all, we really do need God, and we could experience and avoid so much drama and negative experiences by just choosing to seek him and prioritize him and put him first and listen to him and the guidance and where he's trying to guide us in our lives. Yeah, so sometimes situations not working out could really be God protecting us. And something I tell myself now is rejection is God's protection. Sometimes we won't even know it. We'll be mad and angry, only seeing it from one side or one perspective. The whole time he really just moving mountains behind the scenes. So after looking at my life and my situations as negative for so long, he finally showed me a positive perspective, a positive outlook that I had never thought of, and I would have never been able to see or know if he wouldn't have sat me down and showed me that. Things that I've experienced and will experience in life that are negative are not to hurt me, but to help me to grow, to evolve into a better person, a better soul, a better woman. And I can't be mad at that. I was, but not anymore. Like, why would you want to be mad at that? Why would you want to be mad that God is working and moving on your behalf? Because he loves you. He loves all of us. It's not a favoritism thing. Same way it happened for me may not be how it happened for you, but it can happen. And how it happens is unique to each one of us in our own way. And you just have to be open in your heart space enough to receive that. So yeah, I was so stuck in seeing everything from a negative perspective that I couldn't see the positive. After experiencing his presence, his love, it just let me know, like, hey man, this is all I need. This is all I need. I'm good. I'm straight. I never want to feel that point, like be that low again or feel that again. And I made a vow to myself. I said, I never want to get to a low point like that again. And even if I do, I now know that I'm not alone and I have a creator that is by my side, and he will never put anything more on me or you or us than we can bear. What they say, only the strong survive. And I realized how I am a very, very strong person, woman. He gives us and supplies us and equips us with everything we need. If it is love that you are yearning for and seeking, God can give that to you. If it is money that you need, he will provide for you. If it's a family or just acquaintanceships, friendship that you want, he will provide all of that. You don't have to go outside of yourself to do extra stuff. You just have to be. You can just be, and he can do it all if you just allow him and let him. But yeah, I say this to say that he does provide that, and we have the free will to take that and run with it. If he's supplying everything, all you got to do is be open and receptive to receiving it. He was talking about, oh well, I don't know, God, I don't feel like that about God. I've prayed and he never answers my prayer. What's your heart posture? What is your intention behind seeking God? Is it to get things from him, or is it to actually know him? I had to humble myself and be broken down to the point to where I realized I need God, not because I have to, but because I want to. You know, it's something you should want, and he gives us that free will to decide. He's not going to force himself upon you. God is not going to force himself upon us. This is why we have free will. We have the free will to decide whether or not we will take it. But yeah, I feel like people take that saying so lightly, free will. Oh, well, I have free will. I don't have to. You damn Skippy, you don't have to. And you can continue to stay stuck or continue to repeat the same cycles and, you know, experiences that you've been through. And one thing I noticed about it is if you don't choose to just sit down and look in the mirror and confront those negative aspects of yourself, you will continue to repeat the same cycle over and over again. And if not that, then the same people will continue to show up in different vessels until you learn that lesson that God is trying to show you and teach you in your life. But yeah, it seemed like all that took so long. It was like all of it unfolded over a matter of years. And I was like, oh my gosh, like when is this gonna end? But the reality of it is God's timing is the best timing. So if you're in a season of isolation or being called away from certain people, places, things, or environments, just take heed to that and flow with it and stop being so resistant to it. Because I realized the more that I was resistant and closed off to learning lessons and what I was supposed to be learning, what God was trying to teach me through experiences and through other people, it just hindered me more, you know? So yeah, it's never too late to give God a try. He's always there. He's always open to receiving you. It really could just sometimes be us. Sometimes it really be us, you know? And it sucks to admit, but it's true. Sometimes we let our minds and our feelings and emotions and pride and ego and all the humanness get in the way of the simple things of life. Life is supposed to be so much more simple. It's not supposed to be so hard, complicated, and difficult. But when we start doing things our own way and going outside of ourselves to do things that we weren't supposed to be doing in the first place, this is where we start getting pain and trauma and all these experiences coming in. Don't get me wrong, some things we are meant to experience so they can shape and mold us and we can learn from them. But sometimes you gotta learn the difference between what's a lesson and what you're just doing on your own strength and, you know, just because you want to do it. It's never too late to give God a try. Be patient enough to wait and see how he shows up to you, because how he does show up to you is unique and true to you. It's authentic to you. The way he showed up for me may not be the experience for you. Yeah, just try it. God does not deal with us like a robot. We're not robots. We're human. Okay? But if you choose to deal with God like a robot and use him when you see fit, or only pray when things are going bad, that's selfish. That's like the same way we do with people. Like, you only call somebody when you need something. You can't be doing that with God. There's so much for us, and he looks out for us in ways we don't even know. You know, so the least we should be doing is saying thank you and showing gratitude. And if not that, then at least prioritizing time for him. A simple thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you for waking me up this morning. Thank you for giving me life. Thank you for giving me breath. Thank you for that experience, because I wouldn't be like this now without those experiences. Personal projections, negative projections onto something outside of themselves that they don't even understand. How can you begin to comprehend something outside of yourself when you can't even look in the mirror and know what's going on within you? So, yeah, don't let other people's personal beliefs and projections keep you from believing in what is true, and that is God, and He is real. God is not just a concept or something you can just say you believe in. Not everybody's meant to go down that deep path or spiritual path or path of self-reflection, and I'm aware of that, and I don't judge people for it, because we're all at different points in life and on our journeys. All you can do is just show up as you are. Whether they believe in it or not, they'll still watch and maybe even be able to relate to a small aspect or piece of what and who you are. And that's what I pray for, and that's why I even sit down and make videos like this, because after everything I've experienced, I feel like the least I can do for God is to share my experience, share my journey, and share how great and amazing He's been to me in a simple form of a video or a prayer or a thank you, or sharing my testimony. There's so many ways you can say thank you to God, and being perfect is not one of them. So don't ever think you have to be perfect and have everything together, and that you're not worthy enough of having a relationship and a connection with Source, the Most High, as you are. Yeah, y'all, I have been rambling on for a while, but I'm almost done. And I say God as He a lot, but let me tell y'all something. God is Source. And although we give names and pronouns and titles in this human experience, God is Source. He's everything. There's not a name or a title you could ever put on Him. He's everything and more. So, yeah, me saying He is not, it's just how I experience Him. All right, you guys, I hope this video taught y'all something. And if it didn't teach y'all something, I hope that just by me speaking and talking, that y'all were able to experience another part of me, a deeper aspect inside of me, because this is definitely a side that I want to choose to share more with the world, take something new with you, and just look at life from a different perspective. Last thing I just want to say is that God sees you, He loves you, and He wants to know you and have a relationship with you. And stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and focus on what God is trying to show you in your life with yourself. But yeah, it's great, y'all. When God comes on the scene, He brings so much peace. I can't even describe it. It's you got to experience it, and you can experience it if you open up and allow yourself to. Yeah, that's all I got to say, y'all. I love y'all. I'm sending so much love. It's your girl Aaliyah Lynette, and I'm out. Honestly, yo, this is where I belong. I don't like overcomplicating life. I could be having the worst day ever, and I come out and I take some time to be with God in nature. I don't know if y'all know this, but I feel like I connect the best with God when I am in nature, when I'm in my present with myself, when I'm in His creation, and it's free. So of course I'm gonna be out here. Why is she always outside? Why is she always in nature? Because God created it, and it's free.